couple of years ago in simpler times, Kodak released the Ektar H35, a basic half-frame camera with fixed focusing and a 22mm 9.5 lens. It wasn't too bad as an introduction to film photography, and to be honest, it saved you a bunch of money. A few weeks ago though, Kodak introduced the H35N, and the N stands for the H35N is very similar to the H35, just with some small improvements and changes. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use it, tell you what's good and bad about it, compare it to the old one, and of course, I'm going to be taking it out for a spin. I shot it at a seaside town, a terrible football match, and I even woke up at 3 AM to hike a really high mountain and catch the sunrise. A little later, I'm also going to give you some tips on how to get the best pictures out of the H35N. But for now, I'm going to tell you how to use it. The H35N is as simple as it gets. You just need a AAA battery and that powers the flash. To load the camera, you just need to click the back open, pop your film into the empty part, pull some film across, and put that into the small sort of gap thing in the spool. Once you've done this, I would press the shutter button and then wind it on while the back is still open, just so that I know that it's definitely caught on. Once that's the case, then you can close the back and shoot freely. Shooting is really simple. Obviously, you've got your shutter button on the top of the camera, and the only real choice is between flash and no flash. But while I'm thinking about that, just make sure that you turn the flash off when you've finished using it. It's one of the design flaws that I think is with this camera, where it's quite easy to forget that you've left the flash on. To turn the flash on and off, all you have to do is rotate the sort of edge of the lens. Otherwise, there's this kind of star filter thing that's on the lens. You can use this, and I did use this, but I didn't see any difference in any of my pictures. I think that was more down to me and the things that I shot while using the filter than it was to do with the camera. Basically, when you use the star filter, it creates a kind of star effect in your highlights. So let's say there's some sun reflecting off a building or something like that, then you'll get this kind of splayed out effect. In any case, I kind of just think Kodak just added it just because they needed to add something to this camera because it's the new version of the H35. I don't think that many people will use it or it'll be that big of a deal, but if you want it, then it's there. When you finish a roll of film, all you need to do is press the release button at the bottom of the camera and then use the little winder at the bottom of the camera to wind your film all the way back and then pop your camera open. There you go. Yes, you can shoot this on bold with a tripod, but I don't think anyone in the world is going to do that. If you are some sort of psychopath that wants to do that, then you can put it on a tripod and use a shutter release and expose it for as long as you want. So that's the boring stuff out of the way. If you don't know already, the H35N is a half-frame film camera, which means you can get double the amount of shots than you would normally. So if you've got a roll of 36, then you'll be getting between 72 and 76 shots. Also, it's got an improved f8 lens with a slightly better coating than the original H35. Does it make a difference? Maybe a little bit, but still, I would describe the camera as better, not great. The H35N has a focusing distance of 1 meter, which means it's probably sharpest between 1 meter and 3 meters. This is why you'll see on some landscapes that it's kind of less sharp than you might expect. Yes, with f8 you do have some leeway, but actually technically less leeway than the previous 9.5 lens. Personally, I kind of feel like I could crush this camera with my bare hands. I feel like if I sneezed too hard, then the camera would fly away and never return. I don't think this is all negative. I think if you're buying this camera, then you do know what you're getting. It's not as if you're expecting the Contax T2 or something. It's 50 quid, it's a cheap camera, and it saves you money as you shoot it. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far and it's helping you out, then you should consider dropping me a subscribe. It helps me to make better videos and it's a cool thing to do. To be honest, I do really like some of the shots that I got with the H35N. Yeah, they're kind of like lo-fi, disposable vibes that sometimes people really want to get. I like that I don't have to think about shooting with it, it's just you pick it up, you take a picture with it. Obviously it's nothing special, but it's not especially bad. To be honest, it's all down to how you use it, and I'll get onto that a bit later. I think half the battle with film photography is being able to take pictures freely. I think this camera allows that because it is really cost effective. Yet, don't get me wrong, there definitely are way better half-frame cameras out there that were made years and years ago. And if you want to get one of them, then be my guest. But for the casual shooter that just wants to get basic pictures, it's a really good option. I'd sooner see someone using this than the Ultra F9 or a disposable camera for sure. Just so you know, for these shots I was using Lomo 400. I would suggest that you used something like Kodak Gold 200 or Fuji Superior Extra 400. Something that's semi-reasonably priced but good enough. I wouldn't go above 800 ISO and I wouldn't go below 200 ISO. There really isn't much difference between the H35N and the H35, but the H35N is definitely better. At 50 quid or so, you're probably going to get that money back in savings just from shooting your first 2 or 3 rolls. But this is what I think. If you want really good pictures, don't buy the Kodak H35N. If you want basic pictures that are similar to disposable cameras, but you want to save money and also not be throwing a disposable camera away all the time, then get the Kodak H35N. Now, I did say I was going to give you some tips, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Tip number 1 is to keep people at arm's length. The maximum focusing distance or minimum focusing distance, I don't even know, is 1 meter. So basically, if someone is closer than 1 meter, then they're not going to be in focus. So you want them to be a meter away or between 1 meter and 3 meters away. Tip number 2 is to use your flash when you're in low light. This camera can't adjust anything, it can't change its settings, so you need to change your settings to accommodate it. Put your flash on when you're in low light and you'll be able to make sure that you don't waste any pictures by having them be underexposed. Tip number 3 is to take your time. This camera has a pretty low shutter speed, I think it's something like 1/100th of a second, so it would be easy for you to end up with a blurry picture. Take your time, hold the camera up, take a picture, hold it for a second and then bring it down. It's a really simple thing, but it could mean saving yourself from having loads of blurred pictures. A really quick little bonus tip would be that the middle of the lens for this particular camera is the sharpest part. So if you want something to be sharp and in focus, then make sure it's in the middle of your frame. I'm sure I've missed something out. It's quite a basic camera, so there's not that much to say about it in a way. I'm not showing myself unboxing it, no one cares about that. It's got a wrist strap, it's got a little bag thing that you have that you can put it in. I hope you've enjoyed my pictures, I hope you've enjoyed all the little places that I've been to with the camera, and in the end I didn't even finish the roll of film. It's really handy for that kind of thing. It's all about being able to be more cost effective, and I suppose in a way it's better for the environment as well. If you're just getting into film photography and you want to get better pictures, then you're definitely going to want to watch this next video.